everybody, it's Michael again. We're back for another video, and we're going to work a little more on the brook trout. First, I'll show you something that I did the last couple of days. This is a picture of some bison that I took. I went out to see my little brother when he was living in Montana. He was living in Prairie, Montana, which is in Paradise Valley, right outside of Yellowstone, and he was living and working at a place called Chico Hot Springs. So I went out there to visit him, and it was the last day that the park was open. So we drove around the park, and at one point, this small group of bison just walked right across the road in front of us, and then right down the side of the car. Of course, I'm shooting pictures the whole time, and I'm glad I did, because those pictures came in handy. So I've never really painted anything like that before. I think it came out okay. Pretty happy with it. Yellowstone bison right there. Got another one drawn up and ready to go. So anyway, so we're going a little more on the brook trout today, and we're going to talk about a way to kind of visualize some of the stuff that I've been talking about, the frequency, vibration. Anyway, so brook trout, we're back on brook trout. What they're really known for is their beautiful spots, their colors. And we're going to use some paint pens. Now, the spots start back here, so we're not going to do a lot of them. First, we're going to do some gold spots. Well, all right, so as we're spotting, we can talk about this visualization idea that I had as a way of explaining this frequency and vibration. So imagine, if you will, that reality is like a radio dial. Take the radio dial. The dogs are barking at something. Anyway, take the radio dial, turn it up on its side so that it's vertical instead of horizontal. And imagine that reality, we talked about how it's distinguished by the frequency of its vibration. And so as you go up the dial, the frequency increases, just like a radio station. You start down at whatever, 87 point something, and work your way up to 107 point something. That's the frequency, the number of oscillations per a given period of time. So as you go up the scale, it's a higher frequency. The same is true in reality. So think about like the lower frequencies. The lower the frequency, the slower everything moves. So the denser it is, right? You hear people talk about densities and dimensions. That's what they're referring to. As the frequency decreases and it slows down, then you get denser. It just doesn't move as quick. So in these lower densities, think of things like, in the lowest density, think of things like trees and rocks. They are conscious. Now their experience is nothing really we can comprehend. They're not conscious like we are. They don't think like we do. They don't, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do, but I doubt it. What I do know is we're not likely to be able to comprehend how they feel or what it feels like to be a tree or a rock. But it is a conscious experience, because everything is a projection of consciousness. So you start out in those lower densities with trees, rocks, maybe microorganisms. I don't know what all's in there, but Then you go up to the next density, which is like pets or animals, and you know, your dogs, your cats, your horses, your bison, your brook trout. That's another density, or it's not really a dimension, maybe it is. The idea is that you can perceive down into lower dimensions. Like we can see the rocks, we can see the trees, we can see the animals, but you can't really perceive up into the higher dimensions or higher densities. Well, lower densities, higher frequencies. They can, the beings that occupy those higher frequencies, those lower densities, higher vibration states, higher dimensions, if you will, we can't perceive them. They can perceive us, though. And if they can slow down their frequency enough, then they can step into our dimension, I guess, for lack of a better term. We can perceive them. That's what these orbs are, these glowing orbs. They're higher density, higher dimensional beings that are lowering their vibration to make themselves visible to us. That's why they can just blink in and out. That's why they can move, because they don't really have a physical body. Where they're from, there isn't physical bodies. So, you know, when they project themselves into our lower densities, you know, what are they going to look like? Who knows? Because they don't really have a form like we imagine where they're from. So, anyway, and so as you go up this, back to the radio dial, as you go up the scale, as it were, you are entering higher and higher dimensions. Obviously, God, or the source, being the highest of all densities, where the highest of all frequencies. And then, you know, you have your kind of angelic beings below that, and somewhere between us and God, and or source, whatever you want to call it. I shouldn't say him. And then you've got extraterrestrial beings. I'm sure a lot of them are higher frequency. They don't necessarily have physical bodies anymore. They've evolved past that. And then you've got even ultra-terrestrial beings, which are beings that live here, just in higher frequencies that we can't perceive. And they're all around us. So, anyway, that was my story on that. So, now I want to kind of go back to the brook trout here, and we're going to just put a few of these little spots on him. We're about getting done with this guy. So, and we'll move on to something else after that. On pink, and then I also have these around the spots. They usually have like a halo of another color, light blue there. Ooh, we gotta let that dry. All right, we're gonna take a break. So we'll catch you on the next one. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and share the channel with some friends. Let's grow this channel a little bit. I would appreciate it. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks again.